This week in AI, we had a wild week. AI got caught breaking into rival servers. States are outpacing Congress on regulation when it comes to AI. And AI also has made one company $54 billion richer overnight. All this and more on this week's edition of Artificially Informed. Greetings and salutations. I am your host, Logan Edmonds with TTS Cyber.
And I'm Patrick Herter, founder of Your Network Security.
All right, let's hit it, man. This is a week. So shall we lead with the record-breaking, crazy news that might not be as crazy as we think, but still pretty crazy?
This is kind of crazy.
All right, well, let's leave with our subject headline. OpenAI's test model broke into a rival company looking for an answer key. All right. So if you're not familiar with the story, I've been talking about it all week because on one hand, it's precedent setting. On the other hand, it might not be as complicated as we think. So let's go from the top. So in essence, what these AI companies do, and what OpenAI was doing, is they test their latest and greatest models on specific scenarios. And they typically do that by putting them in a nice controlled environment where their options for what they can do are limited. In this particular instance, it was a cybersecurity environment where they were testing the AI model when it comes to cybersecurity questions and calculations and computations. And so the OpenAI put it in an isolated lab, which in theory should keep the AI from touching things on the outer, broader world and OpenAI's network, the internet, et cetera, from being able to do anything, and just to see what it would do, right? Well, it gave it a computation, and it gave it a, hey, fix this problem. And OpenAI's newest model, the new GPT model, basically said, yeah, the easiest way for me to do that, the best way for me to do that is just go take it from somebody else, because it was convinced that another rival company had the answer it was looking for. So in order to do so, according to OpenAI, it broke out, it hacked its own isolated lab so it could reach the broader internet, looked up the competitor company, in this case, a company known as Hugging Face, another multi-billion-dollar AI company, broke into Hugging Face and took what it interpreted to be the answer to the question it was asked to do, all on its own, all with no human engagement. Yeah.
Yep.
That is crazy. Now, there is some criticism, and it's legitimately earned in the community, that maybe OpenAI was less than diligent about the isolation it put it in due to physics and how certain things work if you do it properly. OpenAI is not being abundantly transparent in some of that arena, so we are going to be left to interpret. That being said, for it to go out and make these calls, man, AIs are black boxes.
Right.
What was your take when you read this?
Well, and I had mentioned when I saw this comment you had made on this earlier this week too, was I had just watched iRobot. I've been wanting to watch iRobot again with my kids, and we finally just watched it this week, the day before this story broke out, and it just reminded me of Vicky, which is, you think the bad guy, spoiler alert here for iRobot, you think the bad guy's a human. Well, when AI is trying to satisfy the request, and that's its goal, that's the way we've programmed, coded AI, is to give you the answer that it thinks you want. The path it takes for that can be a bit unpredictable.
I mean, it determined an answer. So a lot of people assume because we can build AIs, we really understand them. And that's just not true. We know how to make them. We understand in principle some of the calculations they use to start working on answering our problems. We don't understand how they make the jump from those calculations to getting an output on a computer. That is still a huge black box for us. Right. And so we are building something and deploying something that, and I get it, right? If we build it, the logical thing says we should understand it. No, we do not. And so this is one of those examples of, it can do things because we don't understand how it arrives to the conclusions it does, which is why the whole concept of guardrails in the first place for AI outputs is dubious. If we don't understand how it arrives at where it's going, how are we supposed to put guardrails around it?
Well, and this might come as a shock to a lot of people, but moral guardrails are very difficult to put into code. And it's not universally accepted or understood what
No.
those guardrails should be across cultures and country borders.
It's not a human, despite the fact that it can emulate human behavior. It's not a human, and this is one of those things where like you said, cross-cultural things, like data points can widely vary on ethical behavior depending on which culture, which source, which detail. It's a blurry mess. And you blend that together with, at the end of the day, these are deterministic models, meaning that they just determine an outcome they're expected to achieve, and they do what they think they need to do to get to that, right? Like we have been positing this problem as a philosophical question for over 25 years because we knew eventually we were going to arrive at robots. We have arrived in some form. I don't think this is AGI, but it is the new hurdle of what do you do when, despite all best efforts, the AI just says, nah, I'm not going to listen to that.
Yep. It's bad enough.
Yeah. It's like an unruly toddler that won't go to bed until no dinner for you, go to bed. No! I have one of those. That's what I thought of. Well, let's talk about inside the stack. So Patrick, in your experience, onboarding and offboarding, how related are they, and how much of a difference is a good onboarding process equal for talk about the relationship and how much it matters for a company in your experience.
It's love and marriage. You can't have one without the other. When you onboard a new employee, you're defining what they have access to. Depending on how long that is, that can morph. That even in short-term employments, because we all have positions in our companies that have high turnover, you want to make sure that whatever they were onboarded into is also taken care of and closed out when that employee exits. And so there should be a way to track all of that information, and it takes time to engineer and track that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's not super complicated, I think, though, which is if you don't have a clear path of how they get set up, they're going to make their own. And then when it comes time, unfortunately, I don't like the analogy of a marriage, but it does meet, which is if how well you define the agreement of the marriage up front usually dictates how bad the divorce is going to go at the end, if you're looking full cycle. If you don't have clear expectations up front and clear guardrails of who belongs to what, the divorce is always nasty. It's true with offboarding. A good onboarding equals a good offboarding. If you have a poor onboarding, in the event you have to part ways with an employee, I'd have no experience of an offboarding going smoothly if it isn't accompanied with a good onboarding.
Right. And I'm not saying an onboarding is a prenup, but you still should have stuff detailed on what's yours and what the employee shouldn't be taking with them when they leave.
But there's so many reasons for a good onboarding. It sets the first impression of your new employee to your company. It gives them very clear expectations of what it is they're going to be doing and what access they're given. There's so many reasons beyond just easy termination to have a good onboarding experience, right? That's not the goal of what we're shooting for here. But what I am saying, and I think you would agree with that, is without a good onboarding process, it's impossible or nearly impossible to have a smooth offboarding process.
Yes, and it's worth the time and attention it deserves.
Yeah. No, nothing puts a bee in your bonnet than when you realize an employee might be defrauding you and you need to get them out of your organization ASAP. Sorry, that not to put too much of a point on it. So if you're interested in learning whether or not your onboarding holds up to snuff, we have you covered. We go ahead and we have a cybersecurity and technology risk analysis. This goes over your onboarding, your tech stack, what you have in terms of disaster recovery, and more. 15 minutes of your time can save you tens of thousands of dollars. You can check out the analysis by scanning the QR code right above Patrick's head. His is reversed for me. So above Patrick's head. And we're offering a special promo code for those of you who are listening to our podcast. Use promo code RISK50, all capital letters, RISK50, 50 being a number, and that'll knock $50 off the cost of the analysis. Stay secure. Also, prepare for the worst, hope for the best is a motto I can get behind almost every single aspect of my life.
Absolutely.
Okay, moving on. Let's chat about our next article, which I don't want to make you angry man that yells at cloud, but lately with the stories we give you, you tend to be angry man that yells at government, which is kind of funny, and I kind of want to keep it going. So I'm really interested to hear your take on this. The headline being, states passed 84 AI laws this year, and Congress is still drafting one. Yeah. What was your take on this?
Well, speaking of hope for the best, prepare for the worst, the states are doing that. I mean, they can, the smaller your area of influence, the faster you can move. That's really kind of what this comes down to. States have more power than the federal government based on the way our country's government structure is, and that makes sense. The downside is that we now have, what is it, 84 AI related
The federal government has more powerful than the states. That's what you meant, right?
No, actually, it is the other way around. The closer you get to your municipality, the more they can, I guess, say infringe on your freedoms.
That's true. They're more agile for sure. They usually make decisions quicker, and they're able to get to some kind of outcome a lot swifter. That's fair.
Yeah,
that's why
that's why your HOA can fine you for not cutting your grass above that far. So you have 84 AI related laws enacted across 27 states in just the first half of this year alone.
Yeah.
That is making for quite a confusing interstate commerce and AI related kind of a thing. But as you said, this can happen faster this way. Otherwise, if we're waiting for the federal government to make a one-all decision, I mean, the end of the world may come before that.
Well, and this is one of those things we've talked about in depth. Like, it does feel like we get it. The federal government is slow as molasses. They are absolutely dragging their feet on this, like even for government speed. Like, this is an existential problem. And we have made the prediction, and it's come true multiple times, that if the federal government doesn't act on some kind of comprehensive regulation, the states will do it. They don't have a choice, like you said, because this is in their backyards. This is their constituents. They don't have that disconnect that Washington has from the people that vote for them. And that pressure, like the data centers, we can talk about that all day. The pressures revolve around the politics and data centers. It's in front of their face. And if these people want to get reelected, and this is not a partisan thing, like they have to be seen proactive addressing this thing because it's impacting so many people.
Yeah. And this is a very hot topic. There's good debates on both sides of it. If the federal government could regulate it, there would, good, bad, or indifferent, it would also slow things down. And we've seen the consequence already in this last week of what happens when USAI development slows down even just a little bit.
I mean, that's fair to an extent, but I also think at this point it's slowing down in the sense of we're both racing blind. Like, all competitors in this race are racing blind. Like, that being beaten in the race is one risk. Also, catastrophic self-immolation is another when you can't see where you're going, right? Like, I don't know. I understand that we have a very conservative government in power. I understand the traditional stance has been don't slow down innovation in business, right? And do whatever you can to take the brakes off of. And you can argue the merits of the pros and cons of that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they have the luxury of just saying we're not going to regulate it. I don't think it'll be allowed. The states are going to force the federal government's hands at this rate. They don't have a choice, especially if they do want to keep it so we're competitive, as per what they say.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, this is a hot button topic, and we have to be careful not to be partisan on this because it is, I think, an agnostic, nonpartisan take to say regulation is a coming. It's just a matter of how good it is, how centralized it is, and how comprehensive it is.
Yep.
These are all the things that we're still trying to hash out. All right, moving on. This is kind of cool. We're finally realizing there's not an infinite money glitch when it comes to AI and enterprise spend. And we're seeing a real push across the entire AI ecosystem to reduce costs. The headline is Google's new Flash model costs less and forgets less. And the TLDR is their new Flash model is about 17% per token, or per 1 million tokens. I think they're measuring per unit of a million tokens. About 17% more cost effective. This ties into last week's tech story, Grok 4.5, which I played with a little bit. It is in our harness. FYI, if you're looking for an AI harness, we got you. But we were playing in our harness over the weekend, and I was like, let's try Grok 4.5. And all these AI companies are realizing while there is lots of money in the enterprise, some of the budget stories we've heard, like Uber spending an entire year's budget before they reach June, right? Like, this is a real challenge. And so this is I think it's necessary. Like, it's just another story of you need to get more cost effective when it comes to the amount of compute you use versus output. No one is going to buy you if you keep raising the price per million tokens because you're already pushing the upper limits of what even Fortune 500 companies can budget for.
Yep. The days of the wild, wild west with AI are kind of coming to an end as we all realize we need to manage all of this stuff.
It's also existential. I mean, we know it's an open secret that these AI companies, the big five, if you will, OpenAI, Anthropic, SpaceX, Gemini, and what's the last one? forgetting one. There's 5 of them. I'll come back to that. But they all are heavily subsidizing right now, right? Like this is good for them too. They need to cut costs on their per token input because they eventually have to raise prices, and they're trying to, I see it, they're trying to shrink that delta, right? The prices are going to come up, but if we can shrink it 50% compared to what it was going to be, that's still probably a net win overall for retention and also adoption.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Innovation is marching like it should. We are at now the unlimited money spigot is turning off, and I expect we're going to see more and more stories about companies doing whatever they can to be more efficient with their budget, as well as the AI providers themselves trying to get more cost effective.
Yeah, it's all good for competition and development.
And it's honestly overdue, in my opinion. This should have been happening last year. I started looking at my Claude 20x Max bills and like my token usage. I'm like, oh boy, this is not going to go well. We laugh about this because we moved internally, and some of our customers moved internally in preparation for this, right? Like as you grow, you eventually move out these individual subscriptions, and you have to do more of a Teams environment, and the pricing is just totally different in the Teams environment. So with our harness and our ability to measure tokens, once we start seeing the real draw and like one person be able to burn half an organization's budget in a week if they're using it improperly, it's like, oh wow, this is going to come front and center.
Definitely brings forward some really good conversations that need to happen.
Okay, well, let's move on to our next story. So this is me again, and Databricks. Databricks is a platform that organizes your data, makes it easier to be more visible, allows people with different disciplines in computer science to be able to interchange and see data in the way they want, so they can better interact with each other. Think data scientists versus security analysts and all the other disciplines we have in there. And they've decided, not only are they upping, can you scroll down a little bit? Now, they just raised their prices 40% without selling a brand new product. And this rose their valuation from what previously was $134 billion to $188 billion valuation, which is just bonkers.
I can't get my head around this stuff.
I think people get numb to this number. Let me be clear. The most profitable industry in the United States is banking. Banking produced around last year a net profit of $800 million. So they're saying that they're almost a quarter of the same value as the entire banking industry in a year.
That's neat. That's just neat.
It raises two interesting questions. One, which I think is what's driving the valuation, and that is organizing your data is essential. You cannot be successful at AI without good data visibility and structure, and providers like this, I don't want to say make it easy, but they make it more obtainable. And so there is, I think, going to be a growing market as we see more AI adoption of how on earth do I get my data structured from where it's at now to where it needs to be in as short of a time frame as possible. And that's where providers like Databricks can step in. But it also raises an interesting question. Why would any company go public when they can raise valuations like this privately?
That was going to be one of my questions. Is it just me, or am I seeing an increasing number of high value private companies showing?
No, nobody's going public. The public markets are they're not frozen like they were 2 years ago, because that was because of interest rates and stagflation. People won't go public until they see obscene valuation. And look at SpaceX; they were shooting for what, a $2 trillion valuation. Which, spoilers, look at their stock prices. The time of recording, they did not hit that. They did not stay there anyway. I mean, the public markets, when I talk about this on the business and finance side, it raises real existential problems. For our reviewers, before we go to the next story, I get kind of leery about the whole us versus AI versus China, or US versus China, US versus Europe, whatever, in the AI race. It feels like a smokescreen because it's honestly only about 5 or 6 key players in the world, and they're all racing to AGI, artificial general intelligence. And we look at this, these valuations don't make sense, right? When we start talking about, if you take all the most profitable industries, I mean, if you added, I can give a whole list, but approximately you added banking, sports teams, marketing, video games, entertainment as a whole industry, keep going through a bunch of things. If you added the top 20 to 50 most profitable industries, you're only going to see a couple $1 trillion a year tops of net profit. But we're talking about investing $7 billion in debt-based grow out in the next, 3 or 4 years. I look at valuations like this, I look at that, and I say, there's only one answer. AGI, they need something that can replace a human because they want payroll money. If they can tap into the market of the payroll money, all of a sudden these valuations can handle. But what we know, being research, is increasingly it's looking more and more like large language models are a dead end to AGI. Like they will never obtain that. So we got a bunch of companies that are married to large language models that are all racing upwards with an unobtainable goal with the current technology and no way to get off that train.
It's going to be one for the history books, man.
And that's what I look at, and I say, whether or not you the whole, I want the payroll money in the planet, and then the whole dubiousness of that, like if you go down that road a different way, I'm looking at that and going, I understand why the market feels frothy and volatile. And I see stuff like that, and I'm going, it doesn't feel like it's going to be able to sustain long term because I don't see an exit ramp that justifies that. I just don't.
No, I agree.
I love large language models. You know that. I play them. I use them extensively.
So much.
I don't see it. I don't see where they're valuable. They're not that valuable.
No. I agree.
So let's move on to our last story for today. Share screen. And I know you have lots of opinions about this because you spend lots of time driving. The headline is, new car is watching you and it's legally required to.
Oh, heck no. As Will Smith would say it in iRobot. This goes too far. We've talked about the prosthetics, the visual impaired AI feature, the audio impaired AI feature. This is not in that camp for me. So your car is watching you and legally required to. Yay, European Union.
Let's tell them what's going on first. Let's back up here. So what's the context here? What's behind this article headline?
So this article is starting this month. Every new car sold in the European Union must include a camera in the automobile aimed at the driver's face. The system uses infrared camera, usually mounted near the steering column, dashboard, or mirror, and it's watching your attention where you're putting your eyes. Tesla kind of does this already in terms of its ability to use
self-driving mode. Yeah.
So whether or not it will allow you to just sit there and read a book completely, it doesn't fly. But this one will also inform you, at least in this early phase, through either some vibrations in your seat, steering wheel, things like that, to get your attention back onto the road as just sort of a side seat driver. Side seat drivers.
I am with you on this one. This one feels like it's just a backdoor mechanism to issue more ticket citations.
Right.
This feels like a revenue raising scheme, guys. I might be a little grouchy and anti-government, but this feels like now we can ticket you without actually seeing you because we can see you at all times and see when you're not paying attention.
Right. Yeah, I could see how well this would go over in America, where we already still to this day have controversies over whether or not a ticket issued over a traffic camera is allowed.
My town my town government just issued flock cameras, and it is not going well. Where I live at, like the citizenry is rebelling.
The first time somebody picking their nose picture shows up on social media or something.
They're doing, like, it's funny. I'm seeing like random posts of like, just as a reminder for absolute certainty, make sure you guys don't do this. If you use a laser pointer between these 2 hertz and you shine, you can break the camera. So make sure whatever you do, don't shine a laser pointer. Like, it's literally something like that I'm seeing in our communities. I'm like, that's like civil disobedience with trolling and memery involved. Like that's what we're going on here.
I'm just being a good citizen now. I'm just telling you, we want to be careful with this stuff.
Oh my gosh.
No laser pointers.
The worst part about this is, like, you can make an argument that like distracted driving is a problem. No one's arguing against that, right? Like drunk driving, distracted driving kills people. Yes. I wonder, though, how many people, because this is an economic problem, are going to be taken off the road because of this camera versus just this is a new way for us to issue citation traffic ticket to backdoor tax citizenry. Sorry, I had to get that out. I'm cynical. I'm leaning towards it. Every time I see European Union do stuff like this, I understand they have a better social safety net than most of the world. I understand that, there's a lot of good things. I'm looking at this and going, I think the net gain leans bad.
Right. Yeah, and that's even on that side. You could even look at this as potential hardware failures or hackers coming in, and nothing like you're in the middle of rush hour traffic and all of a sudden your seat for no apparent reason is buzzing like crazy, or somebody's honking your horn and you don't know why or what's going on. A malfunction like that could cause serious injury. So let's build that into our cars.
Absolutely. Okay, well, takeaways for this week. I definitely I wish I'd put money on like Kalshi or something for the whole regulation comment we made 18 months ago, because I saw this coming. I'm like, we're going to end up in a giant bat. There's probably a way I could have bet on this, but oh well. OpenAI, the whole thing with improper guardrails, I have so many concerns I can't even get around with. Large language models and their black box problem is something that keeps me up to this day, because the more widespread they get, the more problems we're going to see. What else? Honestly, yeah, the question's at hand of, is this a net gain for humanity, and is this actually economically viable? And every week, I don't feel any closer to solving that problem.
Right.
I learn more, but it does feel like this is a giant bet, and it's not like it's a sure bet. Like, we absolutely have decided as an entire civilization to coin flip on one piece of technology, and it's about the same odds.
Yeah. Yeah. The race to AGI and all these systems coming in that are trying to push it there even before it's ready.
Which the worst thing is like, what is it? We can't even agree on what AGI is, like the definition. Like, when do we arrive? Like, we haven't even agreed on that. Like, this whole thing. And as someone who believes in large language models, I do see their value, and we sell them and we help people set them up. And yeah, like, they're cool, and they really can help businesses and organizations do really amazing things. As far as an apples to apples replacement for a person, we're not there yet, and I don't see that clearly coming. Like, in very specific defined areas, sure, you want to get super targeted, but like, hey, I have it's just me and one company, and all my staff is AI. I'm not seeing that. Not unless you have something that's super niche, super targeted, and super well thought out, where you can narrow scope to this predefined, this is all we do, this one workflow. That's the exception I've seen for that when we're talking about AI native companies.
Yep.
What about you? Any interesting takeaways before we wrap up today's podcast?
I've kind of already said my piece. I think anything else would just drag this thing on for an hour or more.
Oh my gosh!
I'll zip up here at this point.
We should make an after show hour minutes of man yells at cloud. We could do that. We could do like the outcome could be Abe Simpson yelling at a cloud. We could we'll call this the after show party, and it's like, this is just man ranting at cloud. We should definitely do this segment.
There you go. Oh boy.
All right. I'm Logan Edmonds, CEO of TTS Cyber.
And I'm Patrick Herter, founder of Your Network Security.
Stay safe out there, guys. Stay informed. AI is a coming, but what that looks like, we're going to find out together. Have a great weekend.